Man City, because it's Man City. Man City,
yeah,
Liverpool.
I'm not talking about the final table.
No, I think it will be like this.
I think it'll be like this.
I'm going to go bold.
Let's take a
screenshot of the table. I think it's going to be Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then it's I think is it Villa? I think Villa are in 4, Chelsea in 5th. Yeah. It's going to be close. Maybe Chelsea might pip them to 4. So, but I'll probably stay. I did say so. I think I'll keep it as it is. But Chelsea and Villa are going to be the 2 teams, I think, for the 4th position.
Jack, the talking point this weekend, last weekend, and the last few days is the sacking of Erik ten Hag.
Big news.
Why are you laughing?
Well, it's just the inevitable, wasn't it? It was the inevitable. We were talking about this probably from the first episode of the season. When is it going to happen? Yeah. What's he still doing there? How long has he got left?
So basically, it was an impossible job.
The impossible job. It sounds like a film title, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, well, it's quite a bad film, really. Apart from those couple of trophies that he got, it's been I think it's been a bit of a disaster, the whole thing, to be honest. But looking at it from the outside, but it's finally here. It's finally happened. How does it feel? Already the post Ten Hag era, trying to get your head around it all.
Well, in the new era with the financials, which are very important for every club. You need to be challenging for the Premier League if you are Man United, and even in Europe, too many draws, no wins. So it looks like there was no identity. Everybody was discussing every weekend, where is the identity, what is going on, the Sancho saga, the Maguire saga, the Ronaldo saga. It was,
one saga after another.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, he bought Anthony for I don't know how many million, and he was just on the bench all the time this season. Supposedly Ugarte was to come in and play a key role in midfield, and we haven't seen him, apart from a few minutes here and there. And then some decisions like Mazraoui playing in number 10 in Europe. It was every week. It was something really like a soap opera, something to discuss, and the pressure was relentless. To be honest, I mean, it was really hard for anybody to work under these circumstances.
He made some strange decisions, that Mazraoui particularly, playing the right back in the number 10 role. Do you think he just knew that his days were numbered and he just thought, well, I might as well try it? I mean, the worst could happen? He's on borrowed time, as they say, not long to go until they're going to fire me. Let's just try some, see if it works. Did you think he really believed in those last few weeks? It didn't seem like it.
Well, you cannot really tell because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Of course, yeah.
But when some of the ex-players come out and say that the writing was on the wall after the Spurs match, okay, and then we had that meeting in London with the Glazers and Sir Jim and his team. It looked like they made the decision then. It was just a matter of time. And because this thing with Amorim doesn't happen overnight.
Are you trying to manifest it by wearing that shirt? Are you trying to? Is he your favourite candidate?
I just came back from Portugal, and I brought some memorabilia back with me. I passed by the Benfica and the Sporting.
You didn't see Ruben Amorim? You didn't have a quick word with him? Or
and I didn't see anybody from Man United outside the Sporting.
You didn't see such him, maybe wandering around? No, I mean, he's the favourite. He has to be the favourite. He has to be the choice, surely. Amorim. He has
Yeah,
to be
but
the best candidate.
after the Sporting Lisbon announcement yesterday, it is inevitable. I mean, and when they asked him after the last night's match in the press conference, if you read the body language, it's just a matter of time. They're probably discussing some additional compensation for his team because they are contracted with the club as well. It's not just him, and these things are not easy to negotiate. They might say, okay, Ruben, you can go. You have the release clause, 10 million euros, but your team is staying.
Yeah, and obviously there's a history there with the two clubs. You got Ronaldo when he left to go to Man United. You got Bruno Fernandes. Yeah. You know, and you've got that link there. There's a link. So let's see if they can be.
There is a link. There is a link. Not to mention that when they got him, they had to pay, if I'm not mistaken, 10 million to get him in as a Sporting manager. So then they're trying to get as much money as possible from these negotiations. That's why I think it came out that he might come in the international break. He is not going to be on the bench this weekend and things like that. It's probably to put pressure to get as much money out of this because the inevitable is going to happen.
Yeah, and just some people who are thinking probably, who is this Ruben Amorim? You know, I've never heard of him. He's obviously a very highly rated coach, hasn't he? And he's done well there. He's had a fantastic start to the season. He's won a title. He's actually quite young because I saw a photo of
39 years old.
Yeah, I saw a photo of him playing against Christian Eriksen.
Well, he only retired back in 2016.
Yeah, so he's not old. Portugal have a pedigree for good managers as well, don't they? We know that they've got top tier managers.
Well, if you follow the reports, it looks like he has a big personality.
Yeah, you probably need to have that.
He's a good communicator with the press, and he's conducting himself really well in the interviews. I watched last night's post-match interview, and he speaks really fluently in English, which is a plus. Because if you remember, there was a big discussion about Zidane and the fact that he doesn't want to go to the Premier League club due to the language barrier and things like that. The downside, if you can call it that, because he was in talks with West Ham in the summer.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. There are some reports that come out the last couple of days that it was the release clause that they didn't want to pay that amount of money for the release clause. But apparently, it was in a list with managers a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago, for Man United. But at the time, they thought that he was inexperienced for the transition from the Portuguese league to the Premier League, which is a big gap. Let's be honest. It's a completely different league. So, and probably due to the structure at the time at Man United, it was not the right time. It would probably throw another manager under the bus.
Yeah.
What's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, the 6 managers since Fergie. That's
I mean, okay. Let's say Solskjaer was inexperienced. Let's say Ragnick, from different league, even though they brought him in as to become a consultant afterwards, and it didn't work out.
It was a mess.
It was a complete mess. Okay, but at the same time, you brought Van Gaal, Mourinho, and vastly experienced managers, and it was a big struggle. It was the environment. It was, I don't know, the setup. but now, because it's the Ineos choice, the next manager will be the Ineos choice, and they made, this. It was a complete overhaul.
Behind the scenes, structured
from the medical staff, the sporting director, the CEO, cutbacks, the academy, everything is a lot of people left and new people came in. So it is their project. So it has to succeed.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
As we're talking for now, we don't know for sure if it's going to happen, but there are some rumours that Man City have one of their new sporting directors, Hugo Viana, who came from Sporting.
Yeah, but he's going in the summer.
Yeah, but he might be employed to maybe get Ruben Amorim because they're not sure exactly what's going on with Pep, whether he's Pep Guardiola, whether he's going to extend his deal or if he's looking elsewhere or having a break, doing a Klopp. So we don't know if it's for sure if Man City might make a play and he might stay on as sporting manager and then maybe go to Man City in the summer. We don't know until it's confirmed.
But there's no guarantee that Guardiola is going to, depart from Man City and go somewhere else or retire or whatever. So for him, because it looks like he was on the list for the Liverpool job as well.
Yeah, he was high on the list there.
Okay, so he flew in to discuss with West Ham, and he was all over the press. So do you think this is not going to happen? I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
I think it's a done deal.
I'm not sure. Let's see. But yeah, he's definitely the overwhelming favourite and most likely out of all of them. I mean, who else is there? There's not many other managers.
No,
really.
The Xavi name came out, but
apart from Xavi, maybe.
But at the same time, some people say that he doesn't want to take over a club in the middle of the season. Okay,
yeah, that's also a problem we have. Yeah.
But in my opinion, there are some pluses and some negatives. Okay, the negatives is somebody else's squad that was built by somebody else, and you need to work with these players. Okay, but in Amorim's case, if it's Ruben Amorim, in my opinion, it will give him time to work with these players under his whatever tactical system, because there was a lot of talk about this 3-4-3, and some people came out and they even discussed that this player can play in this position, and things like that.
That's one of the reasons why the Liverpool job sort of maybe passed him by, because he sticks quite rigidly to his three at the back with two sort of roaming fullbacks, attacking fullbacks, and that would not suit Liverpool's play because they don't play with three centre backs.
But who's playing in the Premier League this system? I mean, at the end of the day, I haven't seen.
No, but Man United are suited to that because they've got three centre backs who can play in that position.
Yeah.
And they've got two wing backs who can get forward like that. So he might be suited to that style of play if that's what he decides to imprint when he comes to the Premier League.
Who's the left back?
Well, yeah, you have to be Dallo, probably.
Yeah, because if he was an injury-free
sure, he would be there. Yeah.
He would be there, okay, but he's not there. So who's going to play?
He would have to be a right footer, yeah.
And Dalot, he played in that position, Jack. But at the end of the day, the last few matches he's playing on the right, and he's much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mazraoui is like a joker now. He's playing everywhere. Number 10, number 3, number whatever.
Yeah, he's the handyman around every position. So yeah, let's see. But if he comes in, it has to be someone like that. It has to be a permanent manager with pedigree coming in. It can't be another Ruud van Nistelrooy until the end of the season. No. Ryan Giggs to the end of the season. Ollie came in, didn't he? And then he got the job permanently. He can't be a temporary fix anymore.
But they made it clear when they came out that it was an interim job for Ruud. So
yeah, for the short term.
The short term, yes.
It can't be the end of the season because remember we've had this for the last 5-6 years now. Interim. It's just not the way to run a business or a football club.
Yes, but at the end of the day, the table looks bad because you are in the 14th place, but you are only 7 points from the 4th place, basically. So it is not a disaster. And the big question is why they kept him in the summer. and extended the contract. Why they did,
and let him spend money on other players again, more players, big money.
And not only that, but it was quite obvious because Ashworth and Berada came late on in the summer, and these players that came in, maybe Ugarte was not the Hack's choice, but the other players, it looked like it was his choice. He had a big impact on the transfers coming in.
Do you have hope as a Man United fan that this season isn't a write-off? It still has a lot of potential if you get the right manager in. Do you think somebody can turn it around, or is the culture just too wrong, too bad? Is it too hard to come in this way, 25% through the season, and suddenly change everything?
Well, we have to compete for the Champions League place, maybe. Okay, we have seen this in the past. Okay. And the new coach sometimes brings enthusiasm. It looks like he's the reports that come out are talking about a big character, a charismatic character, a leader, and he's good with the data analysis, and at the least, okay, we discuss about the tactical system. We will see whether he will adapt in the Premier League, okay? Because you cannot compare.
Untested, yeah. He's never been in the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
Even as a player, so...
Yeah, exactly. Which is a completely different league from any other league. You know, if you look at the Spanish league, you have the top teams, okay? And they're usually there or thereabout every year. And they have a certain style of play, the Spanish teams, which is which is very tactical, very thorough, very the same with the Italian league. They have their own style, and the Premier League is completely different. And what is so exciting, why people watch the English football, is because it's the unpredictability. Okay, you might play away or home. Okay, if you exclude Man City, which are really consistent, and Liverpool, 2-3 clubs in recent years. Okay. You see that the bottom of the table team go to Spurs and they get a result, or go to Man United and they get a result. So this is why people follow the Premier League, and this unpredictability is not. You need to really work your socks off to get a result.
Whichever team you are, really.
Exactly.
You have to turn up, or else somebody's going to cause you trouble.
You might be 2-0 up at half time, and the match ends in 2-2 draw. If you go to other countries, if you said, usually, okay, might score another goal or whatever, or it might be 3-0 or 4-0, then it's not a foregone conclusion.
No, it's not, no. And we saw that a few weeks ago with Spurs when we've seen quite a few teams when they were 2-0 up against Brighton, but we've seen that in other games where teams are ahead. We saw that with the Brighton game at the weekend when they were 2-0 up against Wolves with a few minutes to go. Who would have thought Wolves would have come back? And then they came back and made it 2-2. This is another point.
And let's go through the results from Friday to Monday, from last Friday to Monday. Leicester, Nottingham Forest 1-3. Nottingham Forest are doing really well.
Yeah, really well.
On Saturday, Aston Villa, Bournemouth 1-0 draw. Brentford 4, Ipswich 3. Brighton 2-2 against Wolves. Man City, it was really surprising for me, 1-0 against Southampton. I thought they were going to demolish Southampton, but it was only 1-0. Everton, Fulham 1-1. And then Sunday, Chelsea, Newcastle, your team 2-1. Crystal Palace, Tottenham 1-0. West Ham, Man United 2-1, with a very dubious penalty.
It was dubious. I agree.
It was another weekend where we were discussing about the referee decisions. This is ridiculous. And Arsenal Liverpool 2-2.
That was a good game too. That was entertaining. Yeah.
Yes, and okay, Arsenal were in front, but second half it looked like Liverpool was a completely different team, and Arsenal were hanging on in long parts of the half.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with Liverpool, especially in that second half. I've been impressed with Liverpool all season. The way it's looking at the moment, Man City top, Liverpool second, Arsenal third, and then you got Villa and Chelsea soon after. I think that might be the table at the end of the season.
But I was expecting these are the matches that show the teams that have a real character that are going to really compete for the championship. Okay, and I was I'm not sure whether I spoke about it last episode, but I wanted to see whether Arsenal would have been able to get the win and stamp their authority against the competition. It would just show to the rest of the Premier League that this year,
marker down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. This year is going to be we
mean serious business this year. We're actually going to go all the way. The problem is they've had so many injuries, haven't they? Key players out, and it's really disrupted them. And they've had the red cards. They keep getting players sent off every few weeks in key games. As we've seen, it's really ruined their sort of their style of play. They've had to. I mean, one thing is that they've had to go quite defensive when this happens, and actually they didn't seem to be. They sort of sat back a little bit, and Liverpool came onto them. It felt like we weren't watching Arsenal at home. It was like Liverpool were Anfield, the way they were pressing, the way they had that. I don't know. They just seem faster and more. I don't know. They just seem more connected on the pitch than Arsenal. I think it's because of the injuries. It must be because they seem to have gone backwards. Really, Arsenal, Jack, a little.
Jack, with the front players that Liverpool have, you cannot sit back.
No, because they're going to pick you off eventually. They've got the quality, and the speed as well. Exactly. They're so quick up front. So.
Exactly. So I was watching the match and I said, "What is going on?" This is actually I was expecting that they were Liverpool will win the match.
They had the momentum and it was close. It was an entertaining game though for the neutral to watch. It was good to see, and there was plenty of chances, and it was played at a good pace and a good, reasonable quality. It was good. I enjoyed it.
But decent at the end of the day, if you're an Arsenal fan, you say, no. I mean, if I was the Emirates, I'd say, oh come on, not again. I mean. You expect your team to get a big result against the Liverpools and the Man Cities
at home, especially. At home. Yeah. I honestly, like I said just a moment ago, I think Liverpool are now they're emerging. I mean, they're emerging as the main contenders at the moment to Man City. Man City hadn't even got out of second gear, and they're still top. They're just not performing that well either. They only, like you say, they only won 1-0 against Southampton.
But with Man City, because of their consistency. If after January they do start performing at their level, it's frightening what is going to happen.
Yeah, because if they're ahead, they're just going to stay ahead. Yeah, there's no chance anyone's. They're like a machine. Exactly. We've seen them come back against Arsenal, haven't they? They've come back from behind, lower points, and they've overtaken Arsenal. Yeah, if they're already ahead of the rest, there's no catching them.
Because with Man City, they always believe that they will get the win. Even in the 93rd minute, they are if they struggle, you're watching them say, okay, well, they are 2-1 behind, 90th minute, they will get beaten.
Yeah, remember back to that Arsenal game when they eventually broke them down. They're all over them, constant pressure, and they got it. They got that goal in almost the last kick.
Exactly. So I don't know.
I don't know. I just want a challenger. Because Man United, they're not challenging. We know that this season. Tottenham, not challenging. Villa, they're doing well, but they're not going to challenge for the title. They're probably top four.
Tottenham, they're inconsistent.
Yeah, the same.
Away to Crystal Palace and they don't get the result.
And I predicted that, and you were thinking, oh yeah, Palace not doing too well. But I just had a feeling, Spurs just do that. They let you down. They surprise you. And They don't surprise you, actually. They don't surprise you. It's not surprising. It's sad to say, because you want to see them to be a challenger. I want to see all these big teams, these big clubs, Newcastle included, be all, in amongst it. But there's just such a drop-off in levels from these teams compared to Man City, where they just carry on, they're just sailing on, collecting 3 points, not losing. If they've not had a good performance, or had a bad day, they just don't lose. They just keep it going, and they've got players to bring on, haven't they? They've got such a fantastic squad.
Exactly. When you look at their bench, Foden and Grealish,
and they're missing the Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri, and it's like he's not even playing for them. It's like he's never been there. They can just carry on playing, and he's a brilliant player. What a fantastic player! But they've got Foden, they've got De Bruyne, they've got Kovacic, they've got Jack Grealish. They've got all these unbelievable players, and they just bring them on and interchange. And I've not even mentioned Gundogan, and I've not even mentioned the Savinho, the other guy. They've just got so many good players. And Doku. I mean, every player would get in probably every other team in the league.
It's scary, really.
It's scary, and they could afford to let Parma go. I mean, there's probably in the top 5 players of the
which
season.
Which is another team I want to discuss, because Chelsea, I didn't expect for them to show this level of consistency in the last few months.
They're really pulling things together. Maresca, fair play to him. He's really
because in the
really
summer, in the summer, Chelsea were you see all these. It was a joke of the town.
It was a mini crisis they had. What do? They had all this managerial upheaval. They needed to find somebody. They found the right person. He's come in, and he's got all these egos, all these hundreds of players, on big money.
Exactly.
And he's put them somehow. He put a team together with it, and they seem to be playing quite well. He's got the best out of Nicholas Jackson as well up front. And that wasn't happening last season, really.
But Palmer, he's really exceptional. He's unbelievable.
What a player Palmer is! I watched. Did you see the? I watched the game. Did you see any of the goal? His goal was good, but also his build-up pass. What a fantastic pass that he did to Neto, who then crossed it to Jackson. World-class pass. He has to be the future for England, and he has to be the future for Chelsea. Fantastic player.
Well, a lot of people are asking what happened with Man City, and why did they let him go, and things like that. Well, these things happen. We are in. I remember Mo Salah. He was playing with Chelsea, and he was not good enough, and he was sold in Italy, and then he came back to the Premier League. Because sometimes when you come from abroad to the Premier League, it's much better to adapt, and some people. Even the weather.
And De Bruyne,
and
Salah playing for them.
De Bruyne, and then they came back and they excelled, and say, okay, you are wondering what happened at Chelsea. It just happens. They don't gel with the other players, with the club, with...
that time of their life,
exactly.
It's whatever going on.
Maybe it's the family reasons, maybe it's the wife, maybe, when you actually... which is not, I'm not joking now, when you bring in players from abroad, the first, apart from the agent, the next person you have to speak to is the wife.
Yeah, exactly, because it's so important, because what are they going to do?
Yeah.
It's their life too. And that does play an effect.
There are a lot of family reasons. Maybe there is no French school, and you want to get in the area, and maybe you want to get a player, and the children, they don't speak French. So,
or maybe they know somebody and they have friends from a previous club who plays at another club, so they talk to that club who you might not expect them to go to, because the wife knows the other lady.
You might do as much scouting as you can, but at the end of the day, there are other
the human factors.
Exactly.
Yeah, the human factors that come into play. But
for Palmer,
it's good for Chelsea though that he's ended up there. It's been fantastic. Same for Newcastle though, because. He absolutely destroyed Newcastle. He had one thing I noticed about that game, particularly the Chelsea Newcastle game, is Palmer just had a roaming role. He was everywhere. It's almost like Maresca, the manager, said to him said to the team, just give him the ball anywhere and let him play. Let him do his thing. He doesn't need to be glued to or tied to any position. He doesn't have to be on the right. He can drift in. He can go out to the left. He can push up for his goal. He was driving run. to get to make it 2-1, get the winning goal. He was just everywhere on the pitch, deep lying, playing that unbelievable pass, acting as a playmaker, and then the sort of moving up into the wide areas and getting crosses in. He seems to be everywhere. He's obviously young, he's got that energy, but he just, the thing they say about him is he's ice cold, cold Palmer, he's so cool, and he's just casual. He has that sort of mannerism, a bit like a Berbatov sort of player, sort of languid style. He sort of just kicks just passes it and taps it, and he doesn't seem to really be working a sweat. But that's because he's got that brain, he's got that footballing knowledge. He can see a pass before. Messi could see a pass 2 passes before. He could see maybe 1 or 2 passes. He's not far off. That vision that he has and that football knowledge, and he's so young as well. Yeah. It's going to be a danger. He could be the man maybe next season to get Chelsea really challenging if they can get their act together.
Yeah, we will see. Actually, I felt really sorry for him in the summer in Euros because he was always coming from the bench.
It was a scandal that he wasn't playing more than he was.
Everybody was asking why he hasn't started the match, and actually every time he was coming on, he was trying to change. He was lively. He was trying different things, but I don't know. It was Southgate's decision, probably.
That was a strange.
You never know with managers.
They might just not have got on, or it might not have suited the player. I don't know. Maybe because he wasn't tied to any position really, and he couldn't afford international football to have a player just roaming around wherever they like. Maybe his system was a bit too rigid for him to play in it. I don't know.
Probably. So this weekend we have your team Newcastle playing Arsenal.
It doesn't come any easy fixtures anymore.
Early kickoff. Yeah. Bournemouth, Man City, Ipswich, Leicester, Liverpool, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Southampton, Everton, Wolves, Crystal Palace, and on Sunday, Tottenham, Aston Villa, and Man United, Chelsea. Two interesting matches.
Really interesting matches.
Because even Spurs, Aston Villa is not going to be easy, and Man United. We don't know if a new coach will be on the bench or Ruud van Nistelrooy will be on the bench, but still
it's almost like we're ticking off with Man United. We're ticking off sort of former club legends, isn't it? We had Ryan Giggs do a temporary charge. We had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then he took the manager job on properly. And then we had Michael Carrick temporarily. We had now we've got Ruud van Nistelrooy. It's almost like, which former player can they go for next on a temporary basis? It needs to be less frequent, doesn't it? Because I read that since Ferguson left, it's been 6 permanent managers, but it's been 9 different managers when you add in the interims. I mean, 9. It's almost 1 every year since Ferguson left, almost. So that's just, you can't have that. You just can't have that changing all the time of the person in charge, even if it is just for a temporary basis. So hopefully you'll be thinking as a Man United fan, this is the last time for a few years that you're going to have a temporary manager or an ex-legend being the manager, because it's a bad sign when you've got someone like Van Nistelrooy managing. And no offence to him, I'm sure he's a great coach and he might go on to be a fantastic coach, head coach. But he's not the man at the moment, is he? You need somebody established. You need an Amorim. You need somebody like that, or a Thomas Tuchel. But obviously you missed out on him because he went to England. But let's see. But this time next week when we're talking again, we could know. We should know who the new manager is. And we can talk some more about it.
Another element I want to add is that the players, there's always the coach that is a scapegoat, but they need to man up, in my opinion. If you play for Man United, you need to show your character. You need big characters in these big clubs, and from what they are showing the last few years, you're just wondering who's the leader. There are 2, 3, but on the pitch you don't see them. You might see Bruno, maybe,
Anana's quite good sometimes, he makes his errors, but he's at least he's a bit of a character.
This year actually he's probably the most consistent player.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, I do like his character. He can be a bit crazy, and he doesn't mind like shouting and having his opinion. And they need more players like that. Any club does. Bruno, I know a lot of fans don't really think he's captain material. He can sort of go missing. He can sulk and whinge. We've seen it before where he does that. But there's not anybody else who's much of a leader either.
Okay, look, sometimes the television gives you the wrong impression, in my opinion. If you go and watch Man United live, he's always encouraging the players. He's always, with his hands, making, giving advice to his teammates. But it looks like every time he's whinging,
he does whinge more than he should.
The camera is on him.
Yeah, it is almost like that. But you got to have a certain type of character, and you can't be seen to be whinging the whole time. You just got to either lead by example, like some players do. Like, for example, Harry Kane for England, he just leads by example. He's quite quiet, really, Harry Kane. You lead by example, or you lead by leadership and being that strong character, like we saw at Chelsea when they had John Terry for all those years, leading by example. That's what you got to be.
So we'll see what's going to happen. I keep saying it, but we are still early in the season.
Lots happened already, though, but yeah, it is early in the season. It's just at half time in the next match, it will be exactly 25% through the season. So that's usually a good sign of, I still think, like I said, the table's going to be almost how it is. I don't think Man United will be 14th. I think they probably will pick up and they will move up the table. You'd like to hope so. I'd like to think Newcastle move up into the top half as well. But and Nottingham Forest are in, I think, 7th at the moment. So, will they be there at the end of the season? Not so sure. But I hope to see somebody different in that top half, like them. Good on them. But I think the top 5 is going to stay exactly the same, I think, how it is at the moment.
So
it's a bold call, but I think it's what it's going to be.
You mean Liverpool, Man City?
No. Man City, because it's Man City. Man City.
I'm not talking about the final table.
No, I think it will be like this.
I think it'll be like this.
I'm going to go bold.
Let's
take a screenshot. I think it's going to be Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and then it's I think is it Villa? I think Villa are in 4, Chelsea in 5th. Yeah. It's going to be close. Maybe Chelsea might pip them to 4. So, but I'll probably stay. I did say so. I think I'll keep it as it is. But Chelsea and Villa are going to be the 2 teams, I think, for the 4th position.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I will make a screenshot, and then at the end of the season, I will probably confirm this, or
hopefully confirm that
will be a big troll.
I get 4 of the 5 right. Let's see.
Actually, you're probably right. Maybe the 4th spot, there would be competition for the 4th spot. We'll see, but it looks like, yes, the table is taking a shape now, and also the bottom half is. We knew that these teams would be there or thereabout.
No major surprise at the moment.
No. So we'll come back next week to see what is going to happen, and if we do have a new. Man United manager, and discuss the ins and outs of the Premier League again next week.